Okay, today we're at Animal Care Hospital in Long Beach. This lizard here has been chasing me around town now for how long? Almost over a week anyway.
Yes.
Mom thought that she was having some dystocia, some problems with pregnancy because she's actually a few weeks past. How many weeks now total?
3 weeks.
3. Okay, on transillumination, I'm not seeing any calcified edges to these eggs. The chances are, just by going by transillumination alone, we're probably looking at pre-ovulatory eggs. I'm also not able to differentiate between yolk or egg while we're seeing some large fluid bodies in there. So there's still a chance that she could have eggs. They just have not completely formed and have not calcified. So that's coming in. On the fecal, I was expecting to see some trichomonas or other issues, but I'm not seeing that. Although the sample I got was mainly urates. Mom's going to get us a fecal sample and bring that in sometime in the very near future. I will be at Bayview Thursday, just in case you get between now and then.
Okay.
And again, also on Saturday. So anyway, what will happen is we're going to send this one home with some antibiotics because I did see some Vibrio. That sample was mainly urates and fluid. So chances are we're looking at something from the bladder. And we will start treating that in the meantime. There are several syndromes with these guys that dealing with some bacterial infections can actually cause some hepatitis and septicemia. That in mine can actually cause a low protein, and low protein can actually cause the ascites and fluid that we're seeing. Of course, we can still be looking at pre-ovulatory. She's just not ready yet. She is down in feed. She's starting to lose a little bit of weight in her tail. So right now we're looking at several syndromes that it could be. But the good news is we're going to send her home with some antibiotics to treat the things that we are seeing. And we'll see what this does for her in the future. Okay. She is cute. And she bit the hell out of me. I have to go to the hospital now, file a workman comps claim to show my lesion one more time. Owie. You can hear me laughing, you know I'm joking. All right. Okay. I gotta go nurse my wounds. Okay, having left the room and picked up her antibiotics, oh look, a tip. Anyway, Mom decided to bring her back in here and ask a few more questions, which I have always delighted to do. And in the process, one of her questions was, is it normal for a male to bleed during sex when she sees the hemipenes? And with that in mind, is that normal? Well, in all honesty, it really is not that normal. It can happen. If they're moving around too much, it can actually cause some problems. But for the most part, as many times as I have gone and probed this species and other species, to find out what sex they are, occasionally the male will get quite excited after being probed, and that in itself would cause them to get an erection. Here's the good news. I rarely ever, even after being poked with a stainless steel pin, ever seen one bleed. But I have seen many hemipen infections over the years that we've had to treat. So we may want to get him checked at some point in time too. In the meantime, if he were carrying something like Trichomonas or Histomonas or some protozoal parasite or some other parasite, maybe that's where this bacteria came from that we're treating for today, then that would definitely mean that she probably will have a false pregnancy at best, and that fluid that we're seeing in there might be her uterus filled up with fluid as opposed to actual eggs themselves. Again, during the transillumination, you and I both saw the same fluid pockets, but if it were an egg, you'd see 2 fluid pockets, a pale one and a yellow one, inside the pale one. But what we saw were basically 2 large clear areas, okay, which could go with the salpinx and the uteruses type thing. All right. 2 horns of the uterus anyway. So that again, we're looking at something that's completely different. So with that history in mind, the antibiotics might be curative, depending if it's just a bacteria. If we're looking at something else, we only were able to test the urine sample so far that I can make any guarantees for. So we still need a fecal sample. Okay. The antibiotic that I'm sending you home with, it actually will kind of piss off the Histomonas and the Trichomonas if that's in there, and make their lives a living hell. Unfortunately, it just does not kill them. Okay, so again, we should still be able to diagnose this in the store when you bring me some. And when we're going to be Thursday?
Baby.
Good girl. All right.
I'll actually.
And you have tortured me on other forms of social media, so you can find me wherever I am. You're
All right. I think that was it.
Is that it? All right. So.
Oh, Panicure, you said, is something good to use on them for?
Yes, Panicure is my favorite dewormer when it comes to reptiles and so forth. It's quite safe. It's been tested in dogs many years ago. They gave them 100 times the dose for 6 months. And after 6 months of that drug on 10 times the dose, they finally got some elevated liver enzymes in the dogs, which means I could take an ibuprofen and my liver enzymes would look like I just took a bad drug. But it took them 6 months of taking fenbendazole or Panicure at very, very high doses before they got any toxicity at all. Okay, so and again, that was a study done in dogs. It was not in lizards. My point is it usually is very safe. And it'll cover sometimes the trichomonas and histomonas if it's in the intestine. If it's in other places, it doesn't work that well. Okay, so
I can't remember. I know we used to use it on our dogs. We had raised dogs. Could that be bought at the feed store or only at the vet?
Panicure is also called fenbendazole. So yes, you can usually pick that up at the feed store.
Okay. And how much would I give a reptile of that?
Well, we'll talk about that dose when I turn this camera off. That way, Dr. Google will not be responsible for screwing up any lizard's health in the process.
Okay.